a lot of verification for each of the application. We want to make this as fair and as comprehensive a process as possible. And so because of that, we have to require that application fee, and we can't consider your application. We can't let you know if you would get in or not without looking at your application in that level of detail. I will mention that if we have any domestic underrepresented minority students that are interested in applying, we're always anxious to make that process as straightforward as possible. And I believe for domestic underrepresented minority students applying, there are mechanisms for waiving that application.
Okay.
And then let me also mention the application package. We're using the same application we use for all of our programs. That includes 3 letters of recommendation. The letters of recommendation are not required for the MCS admissions. They're available for you if you want to add a letter of recommendation. If you have somebody that will write a letter of recommendation for you, we will read it and we will consider it. But in general, the things that we're looking for admission are your bachelor's degree, your GPA, and your prerequisite coursework. Those are the only 3 things that we require for admissions. If there's something missing in there, if you're missing a key prerequisite, or there's some other issue with those 3 items, your GPA or something else, a letter of recommendation can address that, and we will consider that. If it's a letter of recommendation, say from a manager, and you've been, working for years as a software developer, that letter of recommendation would need to speak to your specific software development skills, especially with respect to the coursework in data structures, algorithms, and programming languages, object-oriented programming. Christine, did you want to pick up from there?
Okay, let's see. So you went over letters of recommendation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so and you went over resumes. The resume is also really helpful for those students, for students who are applying as international students, in the way that if you will be applying for English proficiency waiver, the admissions staff can cross-reference your work experience with what you've listed in the resume. And then also, John, did you go over the GRE and the GMAT?
We don't require GRE. So if you've taken the GRE, you can include them. We will consider them, but they're not required. And we admit students all the time without GRE or GMAT.
Okay. Okay, so I think that covers this slide. Correct. Okay, so then I'll move on to the next one. Additional requirements for international students. As you can see here listed, we have minimum requirements by country. So if you go to this link, you'll be able to look at the minimum requirements for the institution for the country where your institution was. So for instance, if you went to an institution from India, you would be able to look at what the eligible degrees are, the GPAs required, and documentation required for submitting for credentials. List all the countries by alphabetical order. And then we also have English proficiency requirements for individuals whose native language is not English. So you can see here for TOEFL, IBT scores should be greater than 102, so a minimum of 103. And then for IELTS, score should be greater than a 7.0, and both should be less than 2 years old. There are exemptions for these English proficiency requirements. You would be able to find these on the program website. And those exemptions are if you've been working in a country where English is the official language spoken for 2 consecutive years by the proposed start term of entry. You could qualify for exemption by submitting an employment verification letter that includes duration of employment and location of employment. And also if you've completed a degree within 5 years of the proposed term of entry. So that could be a graduate degree or a bachelor's degree. And we would verify that by the transcripts that you have submitted. The next slide, John, goes into financial aid. And you're muted.
Sorry about that. I was typing answers to some of the questions. So we've designed the program to be very affordable. We want to provide this educational opportunity to as many people as we can in as flexible a manner as we can. And so tuition rates are designed so that we can support that opportunity, but also pass the savings on to the student to the extent possible. So the tuition for the MCS-DS track and the MCS degree itself is $670 per credit hour for the online degree. That comes to about $21,440 for all of the coursework. It's 8 courses. Each course is 4 credit hours, so that's 32 credit hours for the degree. And that's all the requirements for the degree, is just 8 courses. So it's a very affordable tuition. It's less than what students on campus would be paying, especially when you factor in the expenses of room and board and meals and everything else. And many of our students continue to work while getting this degree. You don't have to forego your working salary in order to move to campus to study full-time on campus. The MCS is fully accredited by the HLC, the same accrediting agency that accredits all of the degrees at the University of Illinois. That means that students applying for MCS are fully eligible for financial aid from government or employer sources. The Department of Computer Science does not have research or teaching assistantships available for our online students, including the MCS and the MCS data science programs. We do offer the degree at that reduced tuition rate to try to help students who need that financial help. And then there are methods for having third party, like your employer or government agency, directly pay for the tuition. That's handled through the University of Illinois system offices, and there's a link through paymybill.uillinois.edu on how to do that.
Okay. I want to go back really quickly to the English proficiency waivers, just to clarify. My last statement to that was you could qualify for a waiver if you've completed a degree within the last 5 years of the proposed term of entry. That degree should have been confirmed from an institution that was in a English speaking, or a country where English is the official language spoken. So not just any degree, because obviously you're going to come in with a bachelor's degree, but it would have to be, that degree would have been from an institution that is from an English or country where English is the official language spoken. Okay. And then John, we're going to go ahead and move into the FAQ. Okay, so first couple of questions are, what is the online MCS and what is the online MCS-DS?
Good questions. So the online MCS is the MCS. It's the exact same degree. We offer it online through the Coursera platform, using video lessons in a flexible format so that you can get the lecture material through these 5 to 15 minute long lesson videos, same way that you would get it in a MOOC, except it's more extensive than a MOOC that's open to the public. But it results in the exact same degree as students that are studying on campus would get if they were earning the MCS as well. The MCS-DS is a track of courses that satisfies the MCS degree. It results in an MCS, but you earn that MCS by taking courses that focus on data sciences. And so many students will list MCS-DS on LinkedIn or on their resume, and employers know what that means. And that those are MCS graduates that have expertise, particularly in the data sciences. But there's nothing that appears on the transcript about data sciences. It's just the Master of Computer Science. For the next question, what will appear on the diploma or transcript? It's just Master of Computer Science from the College of Engineering at the University of Illinois. There's no designation about data science on the diploma or transcript. There's also no designation about online on the diploma or transcript. All of our online courses meet the exact same learning objectives and course requirements as our on-campus courses do.
Okay, so next couple of questions are, how is the online MCS course offered using the Coursera MOOC? and how is it different than the typical Coursera MOOC?
Good, good. I think many of you have been to Coursera before, have maybe taken a MOOC. A MOOC is a massive open online course, and open means it's open to the general public. The courses we offer for credit are not open to the general public. They are only available to enrolled students of the University of Illinois in the MCS degree program that are registered for the course. The video lessons will often be the same video lessons that we use for the public course, but there's more material there. There are programming projects. There are proctored examinations. There are other assignments that are only available to the registered students. And so if you take one of our courses, each of our courses is often available as two MOOCs on the open platform. So for example, CS 425, which is a distributed systems course, is available, the lectures are available as Cloud Computing Concepts 1, Part 1, and Cloud Computing Concepts Part 2. If you take that as a registered student, you're seeing those same lesson videos, but you're also doing these assignments, assessments, proctored exams, programming projects, homeworks, and other materials that are only available to registered students. You're interacting with the other students in the course and the teaching staff. We assign TAs, a large number of TAs to the course to help students through that additional material, and you'll have access to the instructor through instructor office hours. So you know, at the highest level, the difference, if you're taking a MOOC version of the course open to the general public, that's similar to sitting in on one of our college courses. You're attending the lectures, but you're not necessarily doing all of the assignments. In order for us to confer credit towards a degree, we have to have those additional assignments and assessments for that credential.
Okay, so you've kind of addressed the next two, right? Or let me just jump in. Okay, so
if you've taken, for example, Cloud Computing Concepts Part 1 and Part 2 on the open platform, you don't need to take the 4-credit version concurrently. You can just sign up for the 4-credit version. It has all the same videos and all the same material that's in those open courses already included in it. So you only need to take the 4-credit portion. If you have taken the Coursera MOOCs prior to the course, prior to taking the 4-credit course, prior to taking the course as part of your degree, then you should not need to repeat anything. If you've watched a video, often it will show you that you've already watched the video. It's always good to review the video. If you've passed a classroom assignment, it may be that we can already show that you've passed that classroom assignment. In general, it's better to learn this material all at once and to take the 4-credit portion of take the 4-credit version of the course rather than doing the open versions of the course before taking the 4-credit versions. But you can always, you know, look at videos or take the open versions of the MOOC versions of the courses ahead of time, just to come up to speed. If you want to prepare early for a course, that's a nice way to see, you know, what's involved, what's the level of the course before signing up for the course for credit. But and if you do quizzes and other things, often those quizzes will carry over to the 4-credit version of the course. Not always. And in general, we recommend students just take the 4-credit version of the course and do the assignments in that 4-credit version of the course. That's what we find is most effective for learning.
okay. And then the last question on this page is, I completed a Coursera specialization. Will I earn graduate credit at the University of Illinois?
Nope. The University of Illinois does not give degree credit towards any open MOOC coursework, including Coursera specializations. A Coursera specialization of University of Illinois MOOCs can lead to a University of Illinois certificate of completion, but does not result in any graduate credit. The only way to earn graduate credit towards a degree is to be an admitted student into the MCS program if you want to earn credit towards an MCS degree. And then you have to register for courses and complete the additional assessments, proctored exams, which are comprehensive exams, and other projects in order to earn that graduate credit.
Okay. Okay, next set of questions here.
Mhm.
Are students expected to be proficient in a particular programming language?
So most of our students, many of our classes use a variety of programming languages, Python, JavaScript, also C++ and Java. You should be proficient in C++ or Java and development environments, ways of debugging. Um, at the graduate level, we expect our students to be able to pick up a language. So for example, some of our classes are based, have examples in Python. Some of them have examples in JavaScript and require Python and JavaScript programming. And we expect a student coming into those classes that's never programmed in Python or JavaScript before to be able to pick up that language in the class and be able to write a program in that. And that's just a skill you develop as being a computer science professional when you're in an MCS program.
Okay. How do students apply for the online MCS or MCS-DS?
There is a link. You would go to choose.illinois.edu and you would go to an application form there and apply for the online MCS program. There is no application for MCS-DS. You can check a box on the application to indicate that you want to take the MCS-DS, and that will help the advisors advise you for signing up for the courses that give you the focus in data sciences while you're completing the MCS.
Perfect. There's also an Apply Now button directly on the program website. What if my undergraduate GPA is less than a 3.0 on the 4.0 scale?
So we do holistic admissions. We will look at all the circumstances in any application. We expect a baseline GPA of 3.2, but we will look at your four-year, your bachelor's degree GPA. We will look at the GPA in your last 2 years of classes. We'll look at your GPA for computer science classes. We'll look at your GPA for any subsequent classes you've taken after your bachelor's degree. And often if one of those numbers is less than 3.0, sometimes another number will be greater than 3.0 or 3.2 or 3.5. And we'll take all of those into consideration. At the graduate level, our expectation is that students are getting at least a B+, B plus or better in their classes. A C at the graduate level is flunking. So we really expect all of our graduate students to be completing classes at the B level or higher. And we want to make sure that we don't admit students without the proper background and without the proper experience and understanding of computer science to be able to succeed in graduate level computer science coursework.
Okay. Do international students in these programs receive an I-20?
I don't believe so, but Christine, maybe you know the complete answer.
That is correct. Because the online program is completely 100% online, students are not required to visit campus at any time to complete degree requirements. Therefore, visas are not granted, and which also means that there is no OPT. With that said, when a student is ready to graduate, they can, of course, come to campus, participate in commencement. Students can also visit campus at any time they want to. It's just not required by the program at any time. And so again, visas are not granted.
Yep, you can come to our bookstores. You'll have full access to the library. We have extensive libraries, some of the largest ones in North America. You can come buy a t-shirt, a University of Illinois t-shirt. You can come to the sporting events. There's all sorts of, you can just tour campus and take a look at everything around here. You are a University of Illinois student when you're admitted to this program, online or otherwise, and you're always welcome to attend campus.
Yeah, take a picture with the alma mater, visit Lisa and Desiree. Sorry, guys. Okay, next question. Will non-degree graduate students be able to take online MCS courses?
Yes, but the admissions requirement in order to take an online MCS course is the same as the MCS program. We have to make sure that all of the students that are taking a course have the ability to keep up with the course and complete the course based on, I mean, the resources, out of fairness to all the students in the course, we want to make sure that the resources aren't taken up by a few students that are having trouble keeping up. So if you want to take just a couple of courses, you can apply and take those courses as a non-degree student, but we still need a completed application, and the requirements for those non-degree courses are the same as the requirements for admission to the MCS program.
Okay. And the final question is, when will applications for the next admission cycle open? And the next slide addresses this.
Oh, wait,
So,
before we
oh,
do there,
go ahead.
there's one bullet above that we should touch on.
Oh, sure. Is financial aid available for online MCS students?
And indeed it is. You can go, we have some links to financial aid offices at the University of Illinois. There are financial aid opportunities that may be available from your government offices or your employer. All of those can be available for you. The MCS is a fully accredited program that's eligible for federal financial aid in the United States. We do not have assistantships available for our online students, so there's no tuition waivers available for online students, but those financial aid opportunities are available.
Okay. And then the final question for real, when will applications for the next admission cycle open? So then I'll go on to the next slide. And you can see here, we have 3 admission cycles, fall, spring, and summer. The fall deadline, application deadline is May 30th with the decision deadline of July 15th. The spring application deadline is October 15th with the decision deadline of November 30th. And for summer, February 15th is the application deadline with the March 31st decision deadline. So typically as soon as the application closes, the application for the next term will open. You can also always view these deadlines by going to the following link listed below. And with the decision deadlines, these are the goals to release all decisions, but sometimes some applications require further review. So the decision may be slightly delayed a few days after this deadline is posted. Anything to add to that, John?
No, exactly that. Hopefully we will get everybody notified by these decision deadlines, but it's easy for us to deny an application, but in some cases we're fighting tooth and nail to find some way of admitting those applications. So if you don't get the decision by the deadline, let us know. Our goal is to get you the decision by the deadline, but also know that it's because we're trying to find a way for us to admit that particular application.
Okay. And then the final slide simply goes over where to find information. So here's the link for where to apply. The next one is the program websites. There's ones for general MCS, and then there's one for MCS-DS. Then the link for requirements by country, TOEFL and IELTS waiver information, the application deadlines, and of course, if you have questions that come up that's not addressed in this webinar, you can always email us at mcs@cs.illinois.edu, and we will answer your questions there. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Okay, and then we can jump into the Q&A. And I will just start calling out questions. John, if you'd like to answer them.
Okay, I just typed in one answer. Okay.
Okay. First question is from James. What about a degree from 30 years ago?
Good. We have a lot of students that are have been working in a variety of fields for decades and are coming back to get a master's of computer science. If your degree is from 30 years ago, we will still look at the GPA, but we'll also look at what you've done in the past 30 years. In some cases, we'll want to make sure that, I mean, the fundamentals in computing haven't changed significantly in the past 30 years. A tree is still a tree, an array is still an array, and algorithmic analysis is still algorithmic analysis. But we'll want to make sure you're proficient at modern tools for computing, and we'll want to make sure that any new material that you've had a chance to be exposed to new material. And we can always use the proficiency exam as a way of detecting that as well. So the important thing is to send your application in. We'll use our holistic process to determine to determine the status of the application, and then we can find the best course of action for you from that.
Okay, next question. If prerequisites are fulfilled but don't match grading requirement, does that become a deal breaker for admission consideration, or is there an option to catch up on that by taking prerequisite before joining the program?
Yeah, that's always a good option for students. If you have some, if you took some computing courses but your grades are not that great, you can retake those courses, take them as a non-degree student at a local local institution that can provide transcripted grades. Also, if you want to take some upper division CS coursework, we'll consider those grades too. That's always the big question for us, is we want to make sure every successful applicant can succeed in the in upper division graduate level coursework. And so showing that on your transcript is always helpful, even if it's taken recently as a non-degree student.
Okay. Do you consider work experience for prereq waiver?
It's very difficult to use work experience as a waiver of the prerequisites because often work, even as a software developer, it can be very focused on a very controlled environment, and a software developer may be calling library functions to do a lot of the things that deal with data structures without necessarily understanding the details of those data structures. In the Master of Computer Science program, we not only expect students to be able to call library functions to deal with sophisticated data structures, we would also expect them to be able to implement those libraries, and because those are the people that have implemented those libraries for the sophisticated data structures. So it's very difficult for us to make that assertion just from work experience alone, and that's one of the reasons we have the proficiency exam.
Okay, so a follow-up to that is, if they do use work experience as a prereq, do we need them to send their work certificates?
Work certificates are good, especially if we can look up what's required for those work certificates. If you have a letter of recommendation, it's always good for your manager to speak of specific fundamental computer science knowledge that you use in your work.
Okay. Next question. Could the experts on the panel highlight on the scope of machine learning and industry for the next 5 years, considering many experts in this industry talk a lot about fad related to ML and DS?
Go ahead, Christine.
Nope, sorry.
So we cover machine learning in a lot of different ways in the MCS program. We've had coursework in the past that was applied machine learning. We're offering a course this semester on computational photography, which is more on data transformations that make machine learning programs work. We're developing a course on deep learning for healthcare. We've got advanced statistics courses on machine learning, including Bayesian modeling, as well as what's called practical statistical learning, which from a stats course means that they're digging deep into the models used for machine learning and deep learning. I think machine learning is more than a fad. Certainly, there's a lot of hype about machine learning, but there's also a strong base of machine learning revolutions that have really improved the effectiveness of machine learning. Some of that was just simply the increase of speed, power, memory resources in computers due to Moore's law, but some of that has been more sophistication in the models used for machine learning. And you can sum it up by saying machine learning is working. We're seeing some real evidence in everyday computing that benefits from the fact that machine learning is working. And so it's more than just a fad, and something that we've incorporated in our program in a lot of coursework, but also in our specific coursework in AI and machine learning.
Okay. That's what I would have said, John. No. Okay, I have taken undergraduate courses of C, C++, and Java in my bachelor, but no data structures course. So is it possible to take the course of data structures through Coursera, for example, and accomplish a certificate before applying? Will this be considered?
We've looked at that before. The issue with the open courses on the Coursera platform is they don't result in something commensurate to a transcripted grade. The open courses on the Coursera platform are often similar to classroom experiences that you get from sitting in on a course without necessarily taking a proctored exam or doing programming projects. We have a specialization of 3 open courses in our accelerated CS fundamentals, but then at the end you would have to then pass the proficiency exam for data structures for us to consider that. And that's kind of the level we're looking at. And many of the other specializations don't have that proctored comprehensive exam at the end for us to use to establish the ability to apply that knowledge to subsequent coursework. So that's what we're looking for, and most of the specializations don't have that, so we're not able to consider that at the same level.
Okay, next question is about GPA requirements. Are there other options to fulfill GPA requirements when mine is below the requirements? I have a CS degree from 15 years ago with a low GPA, but was a totally different person back then. I've been in the software industry since then. I've finished a CS fundamental specialization on Coursera, and I'm planning to take the DS proficiency exam. Can this be sufficient for admission? If not, what options do I have at this point to meet admission requirements? Good
So
question.
yeah, we will take a look at the whole package, especially the fact that your grades 15 years ago might not reflect your abilities today. And so we will take a look at everything you submit in that. Some additional things you might consider are taking an advanced CS course at a local college or university as a non-degree student, and a strong grade in a senior or graduate level course at that institution can always, we'll take that into consideration as well.
Okay. Next question. I understand that the Coursera Accelerated Computer Science Fundamental Specialization course can help satisfy the DS requirement by helping one pass the required exam. How about other prereqs? Would other MOOC courses on other prereqs be considered for admission?
Yeah, so we're developing coursework for those, but it's not available yet. In the meantime, the best option for fulfilling those requirements is a non-degree course at a local university or college, or even an online course, so long as it results in transcripted credit. We really need to see a transcripted grade for that work to make sure it's commensurate with our GPA and admissions expectations.
Okay. Is there any data around the split of students graduating from this program choosing machine learning, data engineering path versus data scientist path versus data analyst path?
That's an interesting question. Certainly we have a lot more students pursuing the data science path than the general MCS path. We're still growing MCS courses, and we'll be developing more paths in the future based on those courses. But I think over 3/4 of our students are focused on the data sciences as opposed to general MCS. I think it's 2/3 to 3/4. I forget the exact breakdown, but certainly a majority of our students are focused on the data sciences. It's a very hot field, and an MCS in data sciences gives you a leg up over other people studying data sciences, maybe in finance, and in business, maybe in information science, or maybe in statistics. Getting an MCS degree helps encompass all of those options. We partner with our iSchool, our top iSchool, and our Department of Statistics for the coursework we offer. But we also give you the ability to develop tools for data science. You not only learn data mining, you learn how to implement the algorithms that do data mining. And so you take control over your scientific instrument for doing data science to the point that you can develop new tools that will give you a leg up in dealing with very large data sets.
Okay. During the course, would there be any live videos with TAs or professors for additional lectures or any special course?
Yeah, we have office hours, extensive office hours. And so you can, depending on your schedule, you can attend office hours with the instructor or any of the TAs. And this gives you an opportunity to ask specific questions about coursework. It also, often the TAs and the instructor will have additional material that they'll present during office hours. And very often answers to questions can often be utilized in subsequent offerings of the course. They just get incorporated into the lecture video. All of that happens. We allocate a TA for every 50 students for our on-campus classes and our online classes. We want to make sure that every student that takes our class gets adequate instructional staff to be able to get the questions answered that they need to get answered. We also use many of the same tools we use for our on-campus classes like Piazza and other discussion groups. And then there's other tools like Slack and Zoom that are available primarily for our online students in order to get questions answered. And finally, for a lot of our courses, especially our on-campus courses, oftentimes the students will ask a question and those questions will be answered by another student. And being able to get those quick answers, as well as the opportunity to answer other people's questions, is a strong component of learning, and one that we support in the online program and the on-campus program.
Okay. How do you make sure that the material of the MOOC courses is kept up to date?
Each time we offer one of our courses, the faculty and the staff will be looking at the material, updating the material. The material that you're getting now was updated from the last time the class was offered. Usually we offer each class at least once a year. And so there's a constant evolution of material that goes into these courses. And that's a bit different than the MOOC world. Often when you have an open course, you develop the course and then you tend not to touch it as much. With these courses, the instructors and the teaching staff are offering it every year, and that gives them an annual opportunity to make sure it's up to date.
Okay. Next question, John. Sir, I had read your work on student engagement that was helpful for a portfolio project of mine. If it is comfortable, can I get your email for extension of that research project?
Sure, my email is public. It's jch@illinois.edu. With that said, we have regulations at the University of Illinois, and I think these are broader than the University of Illinois. I can't answer any questions about admissions. I will often get emails asking me, would I be admitted with X, Y, and Z? And the answer is, I don't know. We have a holistic admissions process. It's extensive. There's a lot of research that goes into compiling the GPA information. That needs to happen. We need to have that process work through before we can even begin to make a decision. So if you want to ask me a question about research, feel free to send me an email. But if it's about the admission process, I'm sorry, I won't be able to give you any further information.
Okay. Next question. I have an undergrad in CS and I've been working in the IT space as a systems data analyst for 8+ years. I have all the necessary prereqs with grading criteria met, except that I have a C+ in data structures. Is that a deal breaker, or will you look at the admission in a admission criteria holistically?
Yeah. So if you're worried about a grade, especially in data structures, that key prerequisite, the best thing for you to do is to take the proficiency exam.
Okay. I completed a data science certificate to boost my GPA. Can my certificate marks be added to my undergrad GPA?
The certificate doesn't really help. What does help is if you have a transcripted grade from that coursework. Make sure you include those transcripts that reflect that grade. That would be the strongest evidence we could use for your admissions package.
Okay. I already have a master's degree in informatics with a focus on software engineering, but with no data science content. Would that disqualify me from applying for the online MCS-DS?
Probably. We can't give two master's degrees in the same area, and if you have a software engineering degree, that overlaps with the MCS quite significantly. So we probably can't admit you for the MCS program. We can admit students as non-degree students, and we do confer a master's certificate in data science for students that already have a master's degree in a computing-related field, but want to beef up their data science credentials. It's just a certificate, but it's a master's certificate in that it represents the same accomplishment as somebody getting a second master's degree in the field, but we can't give two master's degrees in the same field.
Okay. Can you be admitted without any coursework in linear algebra or statistics?
We're going to require proficiency in all 5 of those areas. Linear algebra and statistics and probability are going to be very critical, especially in machine learning courses. So it would be good to pick up linear algebra and statistics in some form or another before you apply.
Okay. I'm going to move down the line really quick and grab this question. As Coursera described, we can take the course first and then pay each course later. I mean, what's the more detailed process for learning on Coursera? Like 1, take free courses on Coursera. 2, feel good, then make a payment for the course. 3, take the exam. 4, get the next course. Is this right for what I am thinking? If I didn't pass the exam, can I get a refund for the course?
No. I think I understand the question. On Coursera, you can watch the videos for free, but you will have to on an open MOOC. But in order to do any of the assessments, then you would have to join the course and pay the fee on Coursera for that particular MOOC. That's a different process than taking courses for credit as part of a degree program as a enrolled student at the University of Illinois. At the University of Illinois, you'll register for a course, and once you're registered for that course, you're taking that course for a letter grade that goes on your transcript towards the degree. You can drop that course, and depending on when you drop that course, there can be a refund of your money, and you can drop a course perhaps even after taking an early exam, and depending on when you drop the course, that will affect how much money you would be returned of the tuition. When you take a course, when you're registered for a course, you will need to pay the tuition for that course, but the tuition comes as a bill, and so you're billed later for that tuition. But do be aware that that tuition is $670 per credit hour. That's about $2,500 per course, which is significantly more expensive than 2 MOOCs on the open platform. But that's that tuition covers expenses like the instructor time for office hours, the TA time, and all the effort in terms of grading the additional exercises for the 4-credit version of the course, as well as providing the assistance to all the students to be able to get through those assessments.
Okay, and then same person had another good question. Does the timetable for the course, is it very intensive? Is there a flexible time for when I am taking the exam for each course?
That's an excellent question. So each of our 4-credit courses is 4 credit hours. A 4-credit hour course, the federal credit hour definition means it's about an hour of class time and an additional 2 hours of work time beyond that. So for each credit hour, you need to budget 3 hours of time towards that course. So one of our courses is 4 credit hours, that's 12 hours of time. So if you're working full time, you need to be able to invest an additional 12 hours above your 40-hour work week for that one course. If a full-time student would take 3 graduate level courses, that would be nearly a 40-hour work week just on the coursework. Most of our students take 1 or 2 courses at a time. You can take 3 classes at a time, but you would have to devote a full time of your work week in order to get through those courses. In terms of the time for exams, the exams are proctored and they are timed. We do have some students that have special needs, and so we have a procedure where you would work with our DRES office that handles students with any disabilities or other special needs. and that can be used to modify the amount of time for exams. But for most of our exams, we try to give ample time for students to complete those exams. Those exams are proctored. We want to make sure that the course experience is fair to all of our students. And so we have an online proctoring procedure where students will work with ProctorU to get a proctor. It's similar to like an Uber system where you get a proctor and you pay for the proctor, and that's on top of your tuition. So tuition for the whole degree is what, $22,000. On top of that, you have the proctoring fees, which is maybe $50, $60 per course. And you may have cloud computing fees if you're working with the cloud platform, AWS. We give students credits towards that, but often students want to explore additionally to that. And so you may have some additional cloud computing fees. That might be a couple $100. Most of our courses don't have book requirements. And for many of our courses, the book is available for free online through our library. So you don't have to pay hundreds of dollars for a textbook for each of our courses. Some courses do have a textbook where you should purchase the book, but we can often make it available in the course material for free for that. So there are some additional expenses for our courses, including that proctoring. But we make our DRES office for managing those issues available to our online students in the same way that they're available to our on-campus students.
Okay, and then let's see, how would I inquire about what was spoken about regarding minorities and application waivers?
Yeah, do you have a pointer to underrepresented minority pathways for the application fee waiver?
We don't, but if you would like to email us at mcs@cs.illinois.edu, we can send you that additional information.
Okay, and that's for domestic students that are underrepresented minorities. I believe that's African American, American Indian, Hispanic, Latino, Pacific Islander, and I think those are all the categories.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what is a typical class size for the online MCS MCS-DS?
Good. So we've designed these classes for scale. So each of these classes is designed specifically for online students. So when you're watching the lecture video, you're watching the lecture video. You're watching a video intended specifically for you. But we've also designed this for scale so we can meet the demand. We have an intense demand of students wanting these degrees, and we've tried to make this design the course to be able to accommodate that demand. So typically our class sizes are upwards of 300 to 400 students now. They may grow even larger then, but through the TA allocation and the way the classes are designed, that gives you a lot of peer students to rely on to help get questions answered quickly, to help with classroom discussions, and also our TA allocations are still at the same level, regardless of the number of students we have. You still have the same number. You still have TAs, one for every 50 students, and so that scales up as well. So we've designed these classes for scale, but that scale is currently at about 300 to 400 students per class.
Okay, so we are now a minute past the hour. We'll go ahead and end this session. Thank you, John, Lisa, and Desiree for joining the webinar today. And thank you everyone for logging in. This session is recorded. The recording link will be sent to all those who registered. We won't be releasing the slide decks individually, but they are in the recording. If you have any questions that were not answered today, please send them to mcs@cs.illinois.edu, and we will answer your questions from there. Everyone have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.